Hey there, Kay. How are you?
I'm doing so good here at Cottage Gardens today.
Wonderful. Well, welcome. I am Fionnuala, and mostly you can find me at Cottage Gardens. And today, that's exactly where I am, sitting up in the shade garden, thinking about what it is I wanted to talk about. And what I want to talk about is things to do in the garden in August.
I'm sure there's lots still to do here.
So much to do. August is one of those quieter times when we're harvesting more than anything else. But at the same time, harvesting does create space in your garden. So sometimes you're going to have space to plant. And if you do, there's lots of things to plant right now. There's annuals, there's perennials, there's trees, there's vegetables. Where do you want to start?
What kind of things should we be looking out for in terms of bugs or pests?
Oh, yeah, let's start with the bugs. Of course, slugs and snails continue to be a problem. As they always are, if we keep our irrigation on, that means there's moisture out in the garden, and those slugs and snails absolutely love it. So check under the leaves, check under your plants, check under like little hidey holes, and find those slugs and snails and move them along. The other thing you're going to find in the garden this time of year, of course, are earwigs. There's a lot of really great ways of taking care of earwigs. The classic rolled up newspaper, and the method I like to use, which is a mix of soy sauce and vegetable oil or canola oil in a trap. Tuna cans are great, or yogurt cans with lids on them. Just ask anytime. I will happily share the recipe and how to do it. So that takes care of your slugs, snails, and your earwigs. Chickens, of course, are also very helpful taking care of pests. And I don't know if you can hear them right now, but they're in the background just waiting to be let out so they can catch themselves some earwigs.
What about things like aphids?
Aphids can be a problem too, especially in an area that doesn't have a lot of air circulation. So continue to monitor for aphids. We've had a couple of heat waves which tend to knock back the population fairly well. But today and yesterday have been really pretty nice cool days, and as we're heading into the fall, you're going to see a little recurrence of aphids, so just stay on top of that too. I kind of like to use the water, just a spray of water rather than introducing soap or pesticides to the garden. But if the pest pressure is pretty heavy, not a bad idea. Knock them back with a safer soap or something like that. I was going to talk about diseases too. Like the main disease that you might see coming up to fall like this would be powdery mildew on your not your brassicas, on your cucurbits. Pumpkins can get it, cucumbers can get it, squash can get it. Just keep an eye out, and at the first sign of any kind of mildewy look on the foliage, cut those foliage off. Let the plant continue to grow, and you're still going to get your cucumbers and your squash. We should have let them out. This is crazy. We can let
Speaking
them
of
out.
birds,
Let's stop and let her out. Okay, one more thing I wanted to talk about was it's harvesting time right now, and our vegetable garden, which we just visited over there today, is producing tomatoes and squash and green beans. And to keep those plants producing all the way through fall, you want to keep picking. Don't let that zucchini turn into a baseball bat. Make sure you pick it. Make sure you get the green beans, pull them as soon as they're ready, and that plant will keep producing for you all the way through fall.
so it's like deadheading.
Just like deadheading. Brings me to deadheading annuals and perennials. Any annuals that have finished blooming, you want to deadhead them and you're going to get more zinnias, for example, or marigolds. The perennials in my yard that I'm deadheading right now to get them to grow some more, I've got the yarrow. They're pretty much dried out and spent right now, so I'm cutting them back fairly to the ground. Some of my agosticas too. You cut them right back. You can see the new growth coming up already. Um, but yeah, pull back, no, not cut back your perennials, your annuals, all those summer bloomers that are looking a little tired right now, feed them and they're going to bloom all over again for you.
What should we be feeding them?
It's always a great idea this time of year to either go with a well-balanced fertilizer like a triple 16 or a 555 or a bloom fertilizer when you're talking about the flowers. That really gives them the potassium and the phosphorus that they need that pushes the blooms. I kind of like going with the well-balanced though too because they could probably use a little nitrogen at this point. All that foliage they pushed out, all that growth, all the roots they put down, they may need some nitrogen at this point of the year.
Doing anything with fruit trees this time of the year?
This time of year, same thing. I'm harvesting the Gravensteins right now, the apples in my yard. My plums I've already picked. The prunes haven't quite started producing properly, but I've seen some down fruit. Same with the apples. Really, really important to pick the fruit as it's ready. But the other thing to do is to pick up any downed fruit, anything that's on the ground that the birds might have pecked or the squirrels. You want to get that off the ground to kind of prevent ants invading or yellow jackets, which is a major pain. If you're trying to be out there harvesting your apples and you're stepping on yellow jackets, it does not go well. So yeah, clean up anything that's on the ground. It'll really make your fruit trees happy and your harvesting a much more successful endeavor. And then it also helps with preventing disease going forward too.
So if we wanted to plant something right now, what should we look for?
Oh my goodness. If we're talking about vegetables, now is the time to plant your brassicas. So your cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprout, kale again. It's time to plant some more kale. All these cool weather brassicas love to get their roots in the soil that is warm. And then they get themselves really well established and they start producing the end result, that nice head of cabbage or those great broccoli florets. They do that in the cooler weather when the days are a little shorter and the weather is cooled down. So that's what you would do in the vegetable garden. Brassicas, peas, onions. In the flower garden, you still have time to get some sunflowers in, some zinnias, some marigolds. You're not going to get the height that you would have earlier in the season had you planted them in April or May, but you're still going to get some great flowers. And that's what you would do for annuals right now, but if you wanted to start seeding indoors for putting out in the cool weather, you could seed calendula, nigella, alyssum, bachelor buttons, and we're coming up to the time to start planting sweet peas also, which is really exciting. I know. That's really a September thing, but I'm already excited about it, so had to tell you. As far as perennials are concerned, it is a really good time to plant anything that you see in bloom in a nursery right now. It's a really nice time to plant that because you know what you're going to have blooming in your garden next August and September, and every August and September forevermore, basically. So it's a great time to be doing that. I forgot to mention, before you start planting, and just say you're tired of picking zucchini, you're tired of picking what other vegetable that you are tired of, and that plant is spent, and you pull it out of your vegetable garden and you've got this bare space, it's a great idea to mend your soil. Same in the flower bed. You want to amend that soil because whatever was growing in that soil up till now, it used up a lot of the nutrients, if not all. When you think of how much a tomato plant or a corn plant has grown, all of those nutrients came from the ground, went into that plant, went skyward up to 10 feet or whatever. So that soil needs replenishing. If you've got your own compost, go for it. But if you need a little pick-me-up, your soil needs a little pick-me-up, Soil Booster organic compost that we've got here is fabulous. That and some Sure Start to get your next veggies or flowers off to a really sure start, and your plants are going to be thrilled. So that's what I would suggest is for amending bare dirt to do a new planting. But your other plants in your garden that are feeling a little tired, such as your roses and your perennials that have already pushed out a bunch of new growth for you and blooms all summer. It's a great idea to feed them too. Um, I really love our EB Stone organic choices that we've got here. They are organic, which is fabulous. And they have this natural time release aspect to them. So there's really never a bad time to be feeding your perennials, your roses, your fruit trees. And right now is a really extra good time to do it in this like dog days of summer home stretch that we've got going.
We've had a few pretty bad heat waves here. What do you suggest for taking
Mm,
care of the garden through a heat wave?
that's a really great question. You know, the best you can do during a heat wave while you're actually in the middle of it is to get out there and water extra. You have an irrigation system in place, hopefully, um, but even any regular irrigation system has been set up for regular summer weather. When you get a heat wave and the temperatures are in excess of 90 degrees, those poor plants of yours are struggling. So they're going to appreciate extra care, extra water, extra soaking. Um, some plants might even really appreciate an umbrella put over them or temporary shade. I noticed with my sweet peppers this year, they got scalded. I should have been out there with an umbrella or shading them somehow just to get them through a heat wave. But it wasn't the end of the world. You could just cut off the scald bit and use the rest of the pepper. But it's a note to self for next summer.
Do you want to tell the people anything about what's going on around Cottage Gardens in September?
Oh, yeah, we are going to have a sale. It starts August 28th, which is a Wednesday. Traditionally, we always start the Wednesday before Labor Day weekend. That's what we're going to do. So August 28th, 9 a.m. sharp, our sale begins, and the plants, everything you see that is a plant, are going to be 30% off, and anything that's not a plant is 20% off. So much fun. We have a great time. Fall is a great time to plant. We grow specially for it, so our plants are beautiful and lush and fresh and perfect for you to take home. And everything's on sale. So, best time to come in.
How long does the sale go on for?
Oh, yes, it goes all the way through September and in through the first week of October, the first weekend of October. I think it ends October 6th, but don't quote me on that. Pretty sure it's a Sunday, October 6th. It's the Sunday, whatever day that is. That's when it ends.
Okay. Where
Mm-hmm.
can we go to check on that?
So you want to come find us. The best way to do it is, of course, to walk on in. But if you want to follow us on any of our social sites, we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook. I have a website where we update our veggie list every single day. The rest of the plants are updated at least once a week. Um, and on the website, which is cottagegardensofpet.com, you can also sign up for our newsletter. It goes out once a month, sometimes twice a month if there's time to do such a thing. And of course, the best thing, like I said at the beginning, is to come on in. This is where you can find me, this is where you can find my fabulous staff, and this is where you can find Cottage Gardens.